pilots. Drain Man here, and today we are going to be continuing our playlist on how to become a radio master. Isn't that a cool little play on words, because it's a radio master and we're becoming a radio master? Whatever. So we're going to continue this playlist. Super cool. So far we've done some hardware stuff, we've done some flashing, we've updated our ELRS module, but right now we are ready to play around with our software, and I just want to do a little introduction, show you into the world of what your radio can do. And trust me, this doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what this amazing radio can do. This radio runs on an H7 microprocessor. This is the fastest radio on the market, in my opinion. It has a built-in gyro. What we're going to do is just open it up, play with the settings, and go from there. So let's go ahead and power up and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is power up our radio.
Welcome to HDX.
Welcome! Okay, we are in, and as you'll see, I have the new RGB LEDs around my gimbals. These are super awesome. This was the original RadioMaster TX15, but I put in the new AGO2 gimbals, and my God, do they feel good. I love it. I love the way it feels. I'm enjoying it. But let's go ahead and get started. I've got some cool stuff I want to show you, but one of the first things I want to do is I want to walk you through just setting it up, because as you'll see right now, we don't have anything. We don't have anything at all, and everything's out of whack. No date, no time. Who knows what the date thinks it is? And then one of my pet peeves with any of these radios is how long it takes to turn it off. I'm going to show you now how to fix that. So let's dive into our menu, and from here we're just going to get into our initial radio setup, and we're going to head over here to general settings. Boom, and we're going to move through this really quick together and just set up our radio. Oh my goodness, you can't even see anything. Let me get this in closer. Boom. There you go. Now you can see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. All right, so let's dive into our sound. And as you see, all we've done is set the date and the time. We're going to jump into sound. And in here is where you can have radio sounds. And you can control multiple different ones with this. But the main one that I want to point out for you is just your normal everyday keys. And they have it off, but you may or may not. Like, I have been working on my radio and someone's been asleep in the house, and it can be a lot. So I'll show it to you real quick, and you can control so much more than what we could in the past. But let me show you. If I come here and I turn it on to all, every time I press a key, we're going to get a sound, and I can control the volume, the beep, the length, the pitch. I mean, I can control everything, but check it out. You heard that? Watch. That means every time we touch it, we've got a beep. We may not want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the sound back to no key. And I prefer haptic, which is the haptic feedback that's into the radio, which is basically a little vibrator that gives you that. And I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to turn that to all. Because it's just a little bzz, 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 and you can just feel it, so you feel confirmed, like, hey, I did press that button. But nobody can really hear it. You may pick it up on the camera, I'm not sure, but it's not going to drive nobody nuts. We have our alarms here. This is where you can set them. For example, battery low. So do we want battery low at 7.4? Originally, the radio comes with a 18650 harness, and it holds 18650s. I have put in a 2S battery, and it has its own little button on here that I can press, and it'll light up. See that? And it'll tell me if I have enough. But I don't plan on opening the radio every time I need to. Battery isn't low at 7.4. It is a 2-cell radio. So that means 4.2 times 2 is fully charged. That would be 8.4. So 1 volt less is not going to be that. We're going to have a nominal voltage of 3.7. So that times 2 would be 7.4. That's where they have it. They have it at the nominal voltage. To me, that's a little high. Leave it if you'd like to leave it. But me, I want to bring that down a little bit. I'm going to head down to 7 volts. So that way it'll start warning me at 7 volts. at 6.8 volts, I'm way too low, and I'm not going to cause any damage until I'm somewhere near 6 volts. That's where it starts getting hairy. So if you don't want this to bother you at all, set the battery low to 0. And it won't bother you until the radio's long gone and dead. Inactivity alarm. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere around 7 minutes is probably a good time. Maybe even 5 minutes. If I've left my radio sitting for 5 whole minutes, I should probably shut it off. And with the trick that I'm going to show you with shutting it off, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to have no problem saving battery and shutting it off. All right. We're going to leave everything else as is, and we're going to head back. We've got our backlight. This is where we can control the brightness of everything, and so mode will be keys. That means if you're not pressing any keys, the dim will dim. I want to leave this as is. I'm not going to touch it because we're going to do a really cool trick that I'm going to show you guys with the backlight that you won't really have to worry about this at all. But when it does dim, that's okay. It's just saving battery. All right, GPS, we're not getting into that. Enabling features. So here's a bunch of features that the radio has, pretty much all of them. And this is whether they're on and working. And the reason why I jumped into here is so that you can jump in and turn off stuff that you will never ever use. For example, heli settings. That is for helicopters. I have 1,000,001 drones, but I don't have any helicopters, and I don't plan on flying any helicopters. I'm not a helicopter person. So I'm going to turn that off, all right? I do want flight modes. I do want globals. You could probably turn curves off too, unless you're going to get into throttle curves and things like that, but I'm going to leave mine on for now. And something else that we can turn off is trainer. Okay, trainer is super cool, but unless you plan on using it, there's no need to have it. And I'll tell you what it is really quick. Trainer is where it allows you to bind one radio to the next and make one the slave and make the other the master. And I can take a student or a friend or a spouse or a child, and I could say, here, take this. I'm the master. I hold a radio. You hold a radio. You fly this drone. It's my drone. It's $600, and I don't want you losing it. And you let them fly it, and you have your radio, and you're ready to go. And at a moment's notice, things start going south. You flip a switch, and now you take control with your radio, and you bring the drone back to safety, or plane, or helicopter, or whatever. Okay, so splash screen. Okay, this is a fun one. So this is when we power up our radio, and it says, welcome to Edge TX. And this is very cool. That's where we get a logo and we get some noise, and we're going to play with that later, but not in this video. So make sure you stick around for this playlist. But we can throttle that down to get our radio on just a little bit faster. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that drop down. I'm going to go to 3 seconds. I do like my startup sound, but you can turn it off. Now watch this power off delay, okay? Watch when I power off. You ready? I'm going to hold this button now. Oh my God, that took forever. Who wants to deal with that? I don't want to deal with that.
Welcome to Edge TX.
Especially if I crash or whatever. I don't want to deal with that. So let me show you guys what we're going to do. We're going to go back into our menu. Okay, radio setup, general settings. We're going to scroll down. I'm going to go to power off delay, and I'm going to turn that to 0 seconds. You can even go 0.5. Let's see what 0.5 does. We're going to go 0.5 seconds. All right, so now you ready? I'm ready. I'm done. I want to turn this off. Or I'm going to go do something real quick, and then I'm going to come back. Instead of leaving my radio on because it takes so long, watch. Press the button. Ready? Let me show you. Done! And I like 0. I'm going to go to 0.
Welcome to Edge TX.
Because it's so great. It really is. So let's get back into here. We're going to go radio, general, and then I'm going to get us back to 0.5. And I'm going to change mine to 0, which is going to make this just like that. Power off auto. So after 5 minutes, going to automatically power off, and that is very nice, which is very cool because we have our inactivity alarm set at 5 minutes. I really should set that at 3. So let's go ahead and do that real quick because the radio is going to turn off on its own. Oh, We're going to go to 3 minutes, okay? All right, so there's your power on and off haptic. That's to get that little vibration when it goes on and off. I'm American, I'm English, units, you can go between metric and imperial. If I click, you see that. And the difference is going to be inches and foots and meters and centimeters, that kind of thing. I leave it where it is. We've got play delays. We've got USB modes. I like ask, but you can make it where when you plug in your USB, it will automatically upload whatever it is that you want it to upload. For example, you can go straight to joystick storage or your serial input. All right, hang in there with me. We are just about done with our general settings. We have our rotary encoder, default channel order, and our mode, okay? I am already set up. The radio came how I wanted it. All right, so we've gone over our general settings. What I want to do now is I just kind of want to show you around the radio. I'm not going to do a deep dive, but I do want to just show you around the menu so you can see what it is. But keep in mind, if you have a different firmware version than me, it may just be placed in a different way or it may look different. Let's just jump in. So here's what we got. On our first row, we've got our manage models. Okay, that's here where you're going to manage all your models, okay? Now, we've got our model setup. This is where you're going to set up your model, okay? And you may have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, who knows how many models on your radio. Me, I'm only going to run 2, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So within the model setup, let me show you. I have a button over here called models. I'm going to click on that, and now I am in my one and only model. So the way that I have this is I have the internal and the external, okay? The internal is going to use the ELRS that's built inside. The external is going to use this module right here. I may sometimes be flying something a little more heavier, like whatever, bigger quad, and I want tighter, stronger, further reception, but I don't care about my battery. I'm going to run my external module. But if I'm going to fly maybe a whoop in the house, I'm okay to be on my internal module because I don't need a lot of range. And that is the difference between these two. Other than that, they're going to do the same unless your external module is a Crossfire or a Ghost and your internal is ELRS. I hope that I'm making sense. So I have this module here as my internal module, and everything is already set up for me, but you can add all kinds of cool stuff. You've got the trainer stuff. You've got timers. I can come in here and add a timer. So I want to name this timer, and I'm going to say after 2 minutes, alert me of this. After 3 minutes, I want this. 30 seconds, I want that. I want to do, 30 seconds of flow and then 45 seconds of, cruising and flying, etc. You got the idea, and you can do whatever you want by playing in here with these timers. You've got pre-start checklists. So you can click on this and set up that these things need to happen before you're going to allow to start. You've got the trims of your model. You've got the throttle of your model. You can reverse it. You can source it. I've got it sourced here, obviously. You can do what you want to do with that, okay? Now, you've got enabled features for this model. You've got your joystick for this model. You've got customizable switches for this model, okay? And let me take a moment to show you, because we see that we have here my LEDs. How cool are those? So the first thing I want to do is show you with these LEDs, they're on all the time right now, and it's kind of a bit too much. Right now, they are just in the on state, and that's via this switch, but it's dead, so nothing happens. So let me show you how to do this. So we're going to head over to our special functions, and we're going to hit add new, and we're going to click a new one. We're going to go special function 3. We want our trigger to be when the switch is in the center. And keep in mind, if it's a 3 position, you have up, center, down. If it's 2, you've got up and down. You need to be specific of that. We're going to click in the center, okay? And we're going to say that we want the function to be our LEDs. Let's find those right there. We want the value to be off because we want to be able to turn them off. And I'm going to enable that. Oh, look, they already went off, as you can see. And as you'll see, when I go up with this switch, they go on. When I go down, they go off. On, off, on, off. Because we have these buttons here, and they're just some awkward color. Watch, look, what is this? What colors is this? This doesn't make sense. We're gonna make these match our RGB LEDs. So let me show you. And if you plan to do stuff with these switches, you want to make them do things, you can do both. But I'm just going to show you right now how to take that switch and make it off so that way it matches your LEDs, all right? So let me show you. So we're going to head into System. We want to head into our model setup. From there, we're going to go to our general settings. We want to head down to customizable switches because that's what these are. These are our customizable switches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these off. Watch this. None, 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 none. And now I'm rainbowing just like my RGB LEDs. How cool is that, pilots? And there's probably not a video online that shows you this, but if there is, I'm sorry I didn't look. So we're going to double up on this, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to bring you over here. We're going to head over to Special, and then we're going to click on Rainbow, and we're going to edit this, and we're going to change this color so I can show you that they're paired together. So let's go Police. See what I'm saying? There's the police, dog. They're coming to get you because Draven is good, baby. So there we are. We are now police. And again, I can turn the cops off by just flicking this switch that we set up. Very cool stuff. All right. So let's get it off for now. I'll change the color later. Now let's finish up with our model really quick. So I'm going to go System. I'm going to jump into my general settings. From here, I can page and get my flight modes. Once I'm in my flight modes, I can page and get my inputs, mixes, outputs, curves, global variables, special functions, mixer scripts, telemetry, and back to my general settings. If I were to go through all that, we would be here all night. But the idea is that this has so much potential. It really, really does. All right, so I do just want to show you that there's a lot set up here. And this came already set up because this is the original model that came on here. And what's cool about this one is your mixes are already set up. That means all of my switches are already set. That means when I jump into Betaflight and I bind my receiver, and you may just head right over to your modes tab and just set up arming, angle mode, turtle mode, this, that, and you'll notice that they're all going to respond to your switches. So what I want to do is not waste the time setting this up every time. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to run two models, okay? I'm going to run my model that is internal and I'm going to run my model that is external. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on Manage Models, and then I'm going to click on that model, and I'm going to click Duplicate Model, and then I'm going to have two models, the two that I want. And then I'm going to take that second model and I'm going to set it to external, and we'll do that together really quick. So I'm going to duplicate the model. Yes. There's my second one. Let's get in here. We're going to select that model. Everything is there. Look, models. Boom. I've even got outputs, curves, special functions. Everything is there. They're all there. So what I can do now is I can head into it, and let's do that by clicking Model, and I'm going to come off internal, and I'm going to actually turn that off. And if you notice, what it was trying to tell me is that this ID is already used, so we'll fix that too. But I'm going to turn that off. Then I'm going to go to external, and I'm going to turn that to Crossfire because I'm going to use this for my ELRSs also. And I'm going to go back. So now I'm running both, and I want to change this name. I'm going to delete this, and I may just say something cool like, you know, Drain Man External. Okay, and then when I go back to my other model, so Manage Models, this one, let's select it.
Switch warning.
I'm going to go into that one, and I'm going to change that name to Drain Man Internal. Okay, and I'll do something cooler with it, but I've got my D-Min and my D-Mix, and that's my two, my internal, my external. You can give them any names you want. You can actually take your quadcopters and give them different names. But here's where the model itself becomes very cool. I'm not gonna go crazy because once you start playing around, you'll get the feel for it. But let's go into this together. We're gonna go in and manage this model, okay? And what I want to do is I want to change this picture. There's tons of them. I'm going to just click on that. And there you go. I've got a different picture. So now when I go to managing models, you can see that I have two different pictures. And this will be through our settings. We can head over here to our radio setup. And we've got our global functions, hardware stuff. Look at this. This is everything. Oh, please make sure your ADC filter is off. You can check your RTC voltage, baud rates. I mean, this gets crazy. UI setup. We can come in here and change our theme. We have full theme packs. Look at this. And some are just uploaded. They're very cool. You can just pick a full-on theme. So there's the default. But let's try Edge TX Red. That's kind of... Some of these are a little tacky. I'm not going to lie. So I don't really want to load any of these. Like concrete, very cool, but just not for me. So I'm not going to use it. But you can set that up. You can pick an entire theme and it will change everything for you to the way that it's pre-designed by that person who created it and uploaded it. Let's get in here and let's actually edit this. So let's go to our top bar. And from here, you can decide how many widgets you want to have. You do only get 6 placeholders. If I make them 2 or 3, I will lose 6 and drop down because I only have so much space. So I want to leave them as 1s. But if I was to take this 1 and make it a 2, for example, now I only have 5. Does that make sense? You only get 6 in total. And we can set up our widgets. So for example, I'm going to click here. And I'm going to make this the date and time. How cool. And I can pick a color. Let's go with black. Okay, and I can make it RGB. I can make it fixed. I can get just, messing with the actual ratios myself. Look at that. And pick my own color. Yes, it gets that technical. But I want my color to just be I think I want white. I'm going to go with white for now. Okay, so there it is. I've got my color. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to radio info and I'm going to set that there. And I'm going to come back to here and I'm going to remove that widget and I'm going to set a new one. Let's go with text. And I'll make it just say Terrain Man. Color, I want white. Save. Size, we'll leave it as bold. And we'll shadow it. And we'll center it in the center. Okay, there it is. So let's put one last one. We'll put a counter. And we'll make it white. Okay, so there you go. We got a counter going. I don't know what it's counting right now, but it's counting. And then, I don't want that. Let's change that. Let's remove that. I don't want a counter. Let's do, how about a value? And we'll make it the value of the tilting. So that shows my actual gyro tilting. As you can see, my gyro is tilting and it's showing the degree so I know if it's 0 or not. Let's put a gauge. We're going to put a gauge for my throttle. So let's give it the color of what matches my theme. Maybe a light blue. There we go. There's my throttle going up and down. All right. There we go. Okay. So I didn't want to get too crazy, but I started to. So Drain Man is too long, so I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to change it to DRN, Man. There you go. All right. And now we are done. So if I return back, I've got my date and time, I've got my name, I've got my battery voltage, and then I've got a little yellow and red and green battery. I've got my throttle displayed like this, and then I've got finally, when I connect to a receiver, that will actually show. And that's just a little widget. These are big widgets. And then I can swipe. Did you see I just swiped a page? I can swipe and add more pages. Yes, let me show you. Oops. So right here, I've got screen 1. This is what's displayed. And I can set up the widgets. I can change the widgets. Then I can go to setup and I can have screen 2. This is screen 2. Then I can go back, setup, add a screen. Add a whole nother screen. And I can make this screen have whatever I want it to. So now watch. Now I have 1, 2, 3 screens. Now, I just took the top bar and I just clicked on whatever to kind of show you how it creates widgets and adds different stuff. And as you see, it got a little hairy, but that's all you got to do is play with it, find stuff, say, hey, let me try this, take it off, change the setting, make it bigger, make it smaller, put 2, put 3, put 1, and just have fun. In radio setup, we've got all that. If you wanted to know your firmware and stuff like that, that's right there. If I hit system and I go into my tools, this is where I've got my apps, which is going to be basically all of your Luas. There they are. You've got your storage, flight reset, channel monitor. You've got your LS monitor, which is your logic switch monitor. Logical switches will blow your mind. And then you've got statistics. This lets me know, look, this is how much battery I've used. This is how much throttle I've used. This is my session, 33 minutes. Holy cow, it's been a long time. And that's just this session. If I go back and I go back in, I got my debug as well. All right, pilots, we are going to wrap this video up. But before we do, there's 2 quick settings that I want to set up. It's pretty much the same thing, but 2 different things that are very nice to have on your radio. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You may already know how, but if not, follow along with me. So what we're going to do is we're going to head into radio setup. I'm going to head over to global functions. What is the difference between a global function and a special function or a logical switch? The difference is the logical switch is what actually programs something. When this happens, this happens. If this is higher than this and this is lower than this, I want this. That is a logical switch. A special function is where you can take something and say, when I flick this function, I want this to happen. And then you get 10 times more powerful when you take a logical function and a special function, and you put them together and you say, when this is this, I want this to do this. And it is mind-blowing and it's super cool. And the limits are endless. We're going to jump into global functions. Global functions means from model to model, radio to radio, this to this, switch to swap, whatever. It is going to perform and exist across the board. It is global. All right, so we're going to jump into global. And we're going to create a new one. And what I'm looking to do is I want to create global function 1. And I want my trigger to be on. Okay? And then I want my function to be my backlight. Okay? And then I want my value to be this knob, S1. And when I move S1, it automatically finds it. Because notice if I move a switch over here, it finds it. If I move S1, it finds it. So I'm going to say, yes, I want S1. And then I want to enable that. So now watch what happens. With S1, which is this switch here, I can control the brightness. So you can actually see that I'm dimming it out and brightening it up just by rolling this wheel. So if it's bright outside, I may need to go up. And if it's dark at night, I may need to go down. But I like to have that there rather than going into my actual settings for my actual radio and adjusting my actual backlight, because I don't want to deal with that. I want to be able to control that on a switch. And I'm going to add function 2. And these are just 2 global functions that I like to put on, and I've been putting them on my radios for a very long time. So global function 2, and our trigger again is going to just simply be on. And we want our function to be this time volume. That is right. And our volume is going to be done on S2. And if you don't know what S2 is, that's this switch here. Boom, boom, boom. And then I'm going to enable that. And I'm going to go back. So now by rotating this switch versus this switch, I can dim and undim, but now I can turn my volume up and down. So if I'm working on my radio and people are home, I go down. If I'm out in the field and it's loud, I go up. If I want it just in the middle, I just put it in the middle. And that is just 2 of the global functions that I find to be very cool and very important. And we can dive into this so much greater, and we can do so much more stuff, and we are going to. That is why I created this playlist, is to take one of the best radios, in my opinion, and make it even cooler. All right, pilots, that is going to do it for the UI and general setups of the RadioMaster, and you are one step, one video closer to becoming a RadioMaster. I hope that you'll follow along with this playlist. I hope that you're having as much fun as I am, and I will see you on the next one.